Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, this is Best in Slot with some more pretty damn exciting news for Planet Zoo, the newly announced zoo game coming fall of this year. There's been several articles printed by news outlets that were able to see a pre-alpha version of the game, and if we look across all of them, the Eurogamer one I'm going to link down below in particular, we can learn some really exciting news about the game. So, let's get started. Get the hype train rolling. Choo choo! That was the worst choo choo I've ever done. First up, let's talk incest. Okay, well, breeding in general. It really seems like breeding, genetics, and releasing your animals into the wild is going to be a big driving force behind the campaign of Planet Zoo, and yes, the game is going to come with a proper campaign. There's a quote in the Eurogamer article that's really interesting and displays the level of depth they're putting into the system. It says, players will have to maintain a diverse stock or else run the risk of inbreeding. The consequences of inbreeding, apart from having an excuse to name the offspring Joffrey, is animals will eventually become sterile and suffer from compromised immune systems. So, incest is actually a very real thing in the game, and if you don't keep supplying your animals with new playmates, eventually they'll not only stop making babies, but they'll also be more susceptible to disease. What this should mean is that you're incentivized wherever possible to ship your creatures out into the wild, rehabilitate them, and do some conservation work to keep that genetic soup mixing. Is that the word I want to use? That's what we're doing. If you don't, your genetic pool has a better chance of stagnating and you're going to get some oddball babies. This is clearly a focus because the same article also says the conservation we touch on is an ongoing part of the game. You're breeding animals for that very reason, and we will show a number of those topics to the player. Conservation is of course a very real part now of modern zoo management for, good zoos anyway, and I really do like that Frontier is taking this more educational and eco-friendly approach to zoo management. People get inspired by games like these, and they've already actually shown a willingness to do stuff like this with their Xbox One Zoo Tycoon game, which had charity-driven challenges placed into the game occasionally. Now, the breeding of these animals would be less satisfying if every animal popped out identical. Unfortunately, that doesn't appear to be the case. In a surprisingly detailed sounding system, we're going to get a genetic component to our animals. The article also says, the individuality of animals also seems to be a major theme for Planet Zoo, with each having their own name, personality, and genome. The genomes determine an animal's appearance, such as different stripe patterns on zebras, but also their longevity, size, immunity, and fertility. So every single game you breed in this game has a different lifespan. It's got a different chance of getting pregnant or getting someone else pregnant. It's got a different size, as in overall. Come on, people. And even different striping, etc. on animals that suit it, and things like spots on a cheetah, for example, potentially. Most interesting about this system for me personally, though, is actually the personality aspect. Given something we'll talk about later, I don't think we'll have particularly aggressive animals, but maybe we'll have playful ones, more likely to use our enrichment items. Maybe we'll have greedy ones, more likely to hog all the food. Amorous ones, more likely to get down and dirty. Or shy ones who might need a little prodding first, or they would prefer the comfort of their caves to open spaces. There's huge scope to have interesting animals here, ones with names, ones that you care for, ones that you're sad to see leave and even sadder to see die. That's a big incentive to really look after them. I don't want Bertie the bear to die. That's going to break my heart, and I have not even met Bertie yet. Speaking of caves, the management of these animals and keeping them happy is again surprisingly deep. I don't know if we've just lacked for deep zoo games lately. Well, okay, I do know that we have. But what Frontier are doing here is actually pretty incredible by the sounds of it. Re the weather and caves, the article says, Planet Zoo has its own weather system with the ability for snow and rain to be partially or completely occluded under structures such as trees and caves. In the midst of a snowstorm, the outdoor areas become cold, but the cave remains warm, thus prompting the animals to move inside to seek out the warmer temperature and fulfill their needs. Managing the temperature requirements apparently becomes even more difficult should your zoo be in a challenging location such as the Arctic. Clever. Not only is that a surprisingly deep, I need to stop saying the word surprisingly deep, but ladies, weather system, yes, the fact that it'll impact the temperature of your exhibits is something I don't believe we've ever seen in a zoo game ever. Not a good one anyway. Nothing has come to mind. Did Wildlife Park do something similar? It may have done. They definitely had temperature control, but I don't think it was that detailed. I speculated in my earlier video today whether we'd get locations around the world, and that definitely seems to be the case. So whilst your wolves will be happy in that frigid Arctic, doing the whole Liam Neeson thing, I don't think your lions are going to be quite as pleased. That's going to require, to keep those lions happy and to breed them in that environment, that's going to require some adept management and some elaborate cave system probably. Unless the game is also going to provide us with other ways to keep our animals warm. Heaters, bales of hay, a little bit of, These animals will have to live somewhere in our parks, I assume, unless we've got a surprising multi-dimensional element to the game. And the building elements of the game are possibly even more exciting than the animals themselves, and that's saying something. Except the hippo, by the way, because the hippo's the best thing in the world. I want to take a second, I'm just going to shut up for 5 seconds, so you can all look at this screenshot from the Planet Zoo website. Just look at it, it's beautiful, it's giving me intense feelings, it really is. There's multiple terrains, there's multiple levels of elevation, there's a maze on the right hand side, there's a greenhouse building, there's interesting exhibit shapes, there's tons of different foliage. I know I've got a reputation as a bit of a hype merchant, albeit a chill one, but I can't look at that and not be incredibly excited for this game. I have said for so long that what I desperately want is a modern version of Zoo Tycoon 2. That's all we need. We just need Zoo Tycoon 2 brought into the modern age, because it's still the best zoo game on the planet by far. And it really looks like that might be what we get. Now this is all pre-release, this is all hype at the moment, it's only the first day, we'll see what happens over the coming months. But it's a good start, I think we can all acknowledge that at the very least. And as I mentioned in my previous video, there are hundreds of items in this game. Hundreds. So finally, before I bullet point some of the less important stuff in the articles, a minor note on the Eurogamer article says there are over 50 animals in the game. It lists a few of them: giraffes and lemurs, which you already knew from the trailer, chimps, a relatively obvious inclusion, and finally, yes, excitingly for everyone who doesn't suffer from arachnophobia, spiders. It seems our arachnids, insects, possibly small reptiles, stuff like that, like frogs, toads, little terrarium creatures, will be kept in glass enclosures that will have customizable, don't know how that's going to work, customizable 3D and 2D backdrops behind them. I think that's potentially opening up to Steam Workshop integration that the game does already have. We talked about that earlier as well. I'm really hopeful that we're going to be able to house a few of these different things together inside custom-made buildings and basically build our own reptile and insect houses. That'd be very cool. They're the best part of every zoo in my opinion. But for reference, people will be curious, here are all the animals we know so far are going to appear in the game. Grizzly bears, zebras, lions and African elephants were all listed on the Planet Zoo website. The trailer showed us giraffes and lemurs, and the screenshots that we showed earlier showed us the wolf and the hippo. Peacocks came from an article over on GameWatcher.com, and spiders and chimps came from Eurogamer. So that's 11 different animals so far, and hopefully, there's no crossover there, right? They're all different animals. Hopefully this trend kind of continues, because there was a slight problem with Zoo Tycoon on the Xbox where it kind of claimed to have 150 animals, but then 8 of them would be lions and 47 of them would be chimps. You know what I mean? We need that uniqueness. It's better to have a smaller number of animals, but more individuality between them, basically. Anyways, I have probably blathered on for long enough, but there are a few more things, very quick points I'd like to go through, some bullet points found in multiple articles. Some really there's just so much good information out there about this game already. So, there will be themed areas with different styles of building. UK and Africa are the two revealed so far. I don't know what UK looks like as a style, despite living in the UK, but I'm very excited to find out. Visitors will need good transport, and one option, and we have actually seen it in the screenshot, is a train. Choo-choo, get that hype train going, whoop whoop. Unfortunately, as predicted, animals will not eat guests. And that's a shame, it really is. But it does fit, if I'm honest, it fits that sort of education forward. And you've seen the trailer, you've heard the glorious music. It's kind of got a very upbeat tone, right? And I think having a bear break out and eat 20 children probably doesn't fit the tone they're going for. I wish it did, but it doesn't. There is an education meter for your guests, relevant. The game really is focusing on conservation and that spreading of knowledge. It's really eco-forward. And animals will scar from combat, and those scars will heal slowly over time, which is pretty cool as well. Right, That's it from me, and I say that, but that is a boatload of information I've just given you guys. I'm really excited if you can't tell. That really should have come across by now. If you found this video helpful at all and you are also excited for Planet Zoo, please do me a big favour by hitting the like button down below, and be sure to subscribe for all the latest news and updates on Planet Zoo in the build up to release. I am not kidding when I say I'm going to cover the hell out of this game. This is the game I've waited 14 years for or something like that. It is going to be everywhere. Every snippet of news we get, I will bring it to you right here on the channel. So, thank you so much for joining me. Cheers, much love, and as always, bye-bye. Hey folks, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want to help support me a little bit more, you can do so at patreon.com/bestinslot. There's a link in the description down below. Every little really does help in times like these, but it's not at all expected, and by just watching the video you've already helped me out massively, and it makes you a pretty cool person, so well done you. Thanks for joining me either way, I'll see you next time.